If you've been in the market for a practical crossover that offers all-wheel drive for all weather circumstances, the Subaru Forester has always been a great option. Although it was a little bit plain and maybe a little bit dated when compared to some of its rivals. Well, this is the new 2025 Subaru Forester, and Subaru has made some changes both to the exterior and the interior to kind of refresh this model and make it more modern and competitive. Some of those changes include a new hybrid powertrain, of which we don't really have all of the details yet. The one that I am driving here is just a normal gas-powered Forester, but we're going to take a look at the 2025 Subaru Forester in the limited trim, not the top model, but it is a higher end one, to see if those changes for the 2025 model year should have you considering it over something like a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4. And let's start, unfortunately, with the styling, because I'm not a huge fan of this redesign. I thought the Forester was always a handsome looking vehicle. It was very square, very wagon-like. You had to like that, you had to like that wagon-like look. You didn't want the conventional crossover look. That's fine. But I think this front end is just kind of a little bit, it's busy, but it's also plain in the same breath. It's kind of weird how they were able to pull that off. It doesn't really scream Subaru to me either. This could easily be a Ford Explorer or a Honda CR-V. You've got Subaru's new star cluster logo, although honestly, it doesn't really look all that new to me. Again, kind of a theme here. I don't think this looks that different from the old Forester. We do have LED running lights up here with an LED headlight down here. This is going to be your main beam. We also have fog lights down there. We do have like 8 inches of ground clearance, which is quite nice. It's a little bit more than some of this car's competitors. Now, the Forester has gotten a little bit bigger for 2025 model year, but not noticeably so. So don't be thinking that Subaru put this in like a whole nother class or anything like that. Wheelbase stays the same, height stays the same. I think it's a little wider, but not really much. We've got 18-inch wheels here on this limited model. 17-inch wheels come standard. You can get 19-inch wheels if you're gonna go for the top trim or the sport trim. So those are the best way to make the Subaru Forester look a little bit nicer. I think these 18s are fine, if not a little bit plain. This kind of baby blue color really does look great on it. My grandfather has like a 2008 Forester in almost this exact same color. I want to send him a picture of it because it's basically his car, but a little bit newer. We do have Subaru's kind of rugged plastic cladding. There is like kind of a weird gap here that I think looks a little bit cheap viewed from the side. I don't know why it kind of doesn't look flush like that. We do have standard roof rails on the Forester, which is quite nice. Here at the back, it lets us know that it has symmetrical all-wheel drive as standard. And then this tail light is a lot more busy than the one that was on the previous Forester. It looks like it's a connected taillight bar, but it really isn't. We do basically just have a simple Subaru badge here. Forester is going to be stamped into your tailgate like so, and then we just have a single exhaust. So Forester has always been kind of a more plain, not outspoken car, and the 2025 model really isn't much different. So while the exterior really isn't that much different on the 2025 Forester, there are some notable changes here on the inside. I mentioned that this is the limited trim, so this is not the most expensive way to get a Forester. There is the touring trim above this. But I am pretty impressed by this interior, as I usually am by Subarus. They keep things simple, but high quality. I'm liking this kind of two-tone gray. You've got this darker gray here in the center with a lighter gray here on the outside with a little bit of blue stitching to add a little bit of color. No problems there. These are very comfy seats. We've got the power driver's seat as well. These are heated seats, but they are not ventilated here on this limited trim. We also have what Subaru calls a panoramic roof. I don't know if I would go that far because it doesn't stretch all the way into the back seat, but for a roof that isn't like all the way to the back, it is a giant piece of glass that does open really wide. So I've always liked that about the Subaru moonroofs. We do have push button start on this model. I'm going to go ahead and start it. The thin finish in here is very nice. I've got this kind of textured rubber up here. I've got some nice soft touch on the dash. I've got a little bit of suede here on the door. Very nice leather steering wheel. Subaru is very good with this. This has a really nice hand feel as well. We do have paddle shifters, which we'll talk about when we get this car out on the road. Some very simple analog gauges with a little helper screen in the middle. Nothing too crazy in terms of technology, but we do have a lot of standard safety features. Subaru's EyeSight gives us adaptive cruise control and a bunch of other safety suites as standard. What's new on the Forester is this large touchscreen. It's 11.6 inches. It's their Starlink infotainment system. They've had this on pretty much every model except for like the BRZ. And I believe that the Forester was like the last like conventional non-sports car model to get it. This actually isn't standard. As base, you get a 7-inch screen with like another 7-inch screen that controls like the infotainment and such, but only the base trim has that. So most Foresters are going to have this nicer system. It now has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Oddly, I don't like to use wireless CarPlay, so I tried plugging into a USB port and it told me I had to do CarPlay wireless, which was actually a little bit annoying. I actually didn't want that. We do have a wireless charger down here, cup holders down here. And we do have an optional, even on this limited trim, Harman Kardon speaker system with 11 speakers that also gets you built-in navigation and rear emergency braking for about $1,600 for that package. I'd probably do it. Harman Kardon is one of my favorite kind of affordable audio systems in a mainstream brand, and this one does sound really nice. One thing that I've always really liked about the Forester is just how roomy it feels. You have these big windows, so the greenhouse of this car just feels great. You have so much headroom. Legroom is pretty good as well. Sitting behind myself, I have plenty of legroom. Got my own air vents. I've got my own USB ports as well. Although the armrest is a little bit small, but it does the job just fine. But it does really just feel so airy in here, especially with that panoramic roof open. It is a really nice feeling in the back of the Forester. Now, last but not least, we'll wrap up by talking about the cargo space, where you get just under 30 cubic feet of space back here. It's a pretty nice size. I would say that the depth isn't that great, like from here to there, but because the Forester is such a tall vehicle, it's got plenty of room. When you fold down the seats, you're going to have a little over 74 cubic feet of space, marginally better than the previous Forester, but not like a huge difference. You do have these nice buttons right here. Just click them and the seats fold down. I love how simple and easy that is. You do also have manual releases on the seat itself, but with the seats down, you just have so much space in here. The Forester is a very usable vehicle. All right, time to get the 2025 Subaru Forester out on the road and see how it drives. Now, interestingly, the engine is a carryover. Subaru hasn't really done anything much different under the hood. You still get a 2.5-liter boxer 4-cylinder. Subaru loves its sideways firing pistons, but this time it actually only produces 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Last year's model actually produced 2 more horsepower, but 2 fewer pound-feet of torque. So the thinking behind that is Subaru wanted to move the torque band down a little bit lower, make the Forester feel a little bit more gutsy, a little bit more drivable. Torque is the thing that's a little bit more important when you're really driving every day, more than horsepower. So you might lose a little bit of bragging rights that, oh, my Forester has 2 less horsepower than the old one. But it really doesn't matter. The torque number is what is important, and the performance isn't really impacted all that much. Power is still going out to Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive. You get that as standard. There's no front-wheel drive version of the Forester, and it's going out through one of their CVT transmission. It's a continuously variable transmission. Now, Subaru does their CVTs in such a way that they pretend to shift gears. So when I put my foot down a little bit, going to get up to about 3,000 or 4,000, and then it's going to kind of move the tachometer a little bit to make it feel like I just had a shift, even though a CVT doesn't really need to do that. I think most people are going to like this feature. Some CVTs have a knack of they just pick an RPM and stay there, so you get this kind of non-luxurious sounding meh noise. Well, that's not really present here in the Forester. So if you're very anti-CVT, I suggest you maybe give this one a shot because you might like it more than some others. You don't really have too many drive modes to play around with. You do have Subaru's SI controller. So I is going to be kind of your normal, S is going to be your sport. So let's go ahead and mat it. It's still going to shift even when I go flat out. It's going to kind of bounce off the rev limiter, go to about 5,000 RPM. So it does feel a little bit sportier than most CVTs. I'm going to give Subaru a lot of credit for that. And it's funny because they actually say that this car shares a dual pinion steering rack with the WRX. I'm not going to go ahead and call the Forester sporty, not with this level of body roll here, but all Subaru cars do have this air of athleticism about it. Like, even if, like, you know, the BRZ and the WRX are kind of the, you know, professional athletes of the family, and even if the parents, like the Forester, weren't super athletic, they can move. This thing actually doesn't feel sloppy. I mean, the tires are definitely not doing it any favors, but the steering is quite nice. Now, in terms of fuel economy, you're doing pretty good for having all-wheel drive as standard. You're going to get 26 mpg in the city, 33 on the highway, 29 combined. Those numbers all go down by 1 if you get the sport or the touring trim. That's due to the 19-inch wheels. If you want something more efficient, you're going to have to wait for the Forester Hybrid, which Subaru has announced, but we have no details on it. I don't know if it's going to be a regular hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, if it's going to use a Toyota hybrid system. I don't know anything about it as of this filming, but I really think that is a great deal that is long overdue. This Forester is a car that a lot of people love, but some people might want to get closer to 40 or above 40 mpg. So I'm really excited to see what Subaru has in store for the hybrid model. Some other improvements that you can't really see, but you can definitely feel when you drive this car is Subaru has added more welding to the chassis. They say it's about 10% stiffer in terms of torsional rigidity. That's going to also make the cabin a little bit quieter. The last time I drove a Forester was actually the Wilderness model, so not the best example because the Wilderness has like all-terrain tires and some other things that make it a little bit louder, but you could definitely tell on the highway that it was not the most quiet thing. But other Subaru vehicles that have been redesigned more recently, like the Outback and the Legacy, are super quiet on the inside. And I don't know if the Forester is quite that quiet, but it's definitely a lot quieter in here compared to the last Forester Wilderness that I drove. So if you currently own one of these and one of your most common complaints is that it's a little bit noisy on the highway, definitely give this 2025 model a try because they've definitely reduced the cabin noise in here and it is a big improvement. But that's all I really have to say about the Forester. It's a nice driving, not super exciting crossover that gets you all-wheel drive as standard. It's now a little bit more comfortable than before. So if you were considering one of these, but you were just on the fence because it was a little bit too loud on the inside, this might get you over the hump. So that wraps up our time with the 2025 Subaru Forester. Pricing for the 25 model starts at $29,695, so you're looking at just under 30 grand for the base model, but you do have to add $1,395 for destination, so you are really, in reality, going to be over 30 grand. Stepping up to the premium model is just under 32 grand. I probably would do that. You can get some options that aren't available on the premium, like a power driver seat. You can get the larger single screen instead of the dual 7-inch screens that don't have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. I think most people are going to want to step up to that. The sport trim is a little over 34 grand. That's good if you want to make your Forester look visually a little bit more exciting with some bigger wheels. The limited model that we are driving here is just under 36 grand, although with the Harman Kardon audio and destination, you're looking at about 39,000 all in. Honestly, not bad to have a crossover that's this well equipped and this comfortable for under 40. That's pretty competitive. I'm not really going to complain much about the price. Or if you want to get a little bit nicer Forester, the Touring, which is the top model, is just under $40,000. And it's interesting because they haven't announced the off-road focused Wilderness model for the 2025. They're actually going to sell the 2024 Wilderness alongside this, starting at just under $35,000. Honestly, I'm not unimpressed with what they've done for the 2025 model year. I think it is quieter inside. That is a huge improvement that Forester diehards are going to love. The technology did get a little bit better. I'm not a huge fan of the styling, but if you like how the Subaru Forester looked before, I don't think this is going to deter any buyers. I just don't know if Subaru has done enough to attract people who weren't going to consider the Forester before. Maybe when that hybrid model comes out, there'll be a much more compelling reason to choose one of these. But as of now, I think the 2025 Forester has done just enough to keep the people who already wanted a Forester and maybe entice a few people that were holding out for some better technology. But other than that, let me know what you think of the 2025 Subaru Forester, and as always, leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.